Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. So in this video we are going to take a look at the premium Dragonstone or the Redstone that you receive for your anniversary. This is God Dragonstone 12 and it is the free-to-play stone that they give out at major anniversaries and celebrations like the download celebration. So we'll go through each of the units and which ones you should get as a new player, as a veteran player, which ones are really good, and just kind of obviously see which units we can do the most with. The first thing we're going to go through is the units you shouldn't get. So Ultimate Gohan, Strength Broly, Physical Freezer. Those units you shouldn't get because they are long outdated, like Agility Kid Buu. They have easy A's, but even after their easy A's, they're not the greatest. Strength Goku, Physical Ultimate Gohan also fall into this category, and they're just not really worth your time in terms of investment. Even for new players, although their easy A's are some of the older ones, which makes them easier, unless they're desperate to fill out a team like a Wicked Bloodlines or something, it's better off just to not go for these units, as they just fall off a little bit too much, and they're not entirely worth the stone comparatively to other units. So then the next thing that we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at the units that are you shouldn't pick due to the fact that they, how do I say, they are not the greatest units, or they don't have an easy A, or their easy A is currently not available. So they don't really fall into the same category as these units. You shouldn't pick them alternatively because they're just not entirely at the top of the list. So the first of those is going to be the Tech Vegeta. He is a unit that you shouldn't pick up because basically he doesn't have an easy A yet. So you can pick him up with the stone, but he's not that great. Then we're going to turn to, or his easy A isn't that great, I should say. Then we're going to turn to the Goku, Gohan, and Goten units. Goten is actually quite useful, but all three of these units, although quite useful, you can pick up with tickets on Goku Day and Gohan Day and Goten Day, the Goku Family Day basically. These units therefore shouldn't really be picked up by you, because you can get a copy of them basically free every single year, at least one copy of each of them. And they're quite common in general pool summons. The SS2 Gohan's easy A is currently not up. He also requires quite a few dupes to be useful, but his easy A isn't even up currently, so he's not really going to be 100% worth your time. Since you can't actually easy A him, he has a very special easy A. It basically only comes with Cell, and he'll be back for the download celebration. So unless you're playing the long game and you really want a good pairing partner for the LRSS2 Gohan, that's going to be your best call. The first and obvious choice is Super Gogeta. Super Gogeta has an easy A. It is agility movie bosses. It's not the most common unit on the current banners, so new players might struggle. But for anyone who's played the game for a little bit of time, it should be quite easy to take on. Agility movie bosses and movie bosses in general have come a long way, so it's not the hardest easy A. Super Gogeta is very good as well. He is an all-type lead. He does a decent amount of damage as well. He lowers attack and defense, and he is effective against all types. He also has an A-tier stat system, an S-tier stat system, sorry. So he has like 7,000 from his stat system or something stupid. So he can still hit very hard. I mean, this unit still hits well into the 2 millions. He is very good, and his link set is great. The next unit that we have is SS3 Goku, a staple for any SS3 team pretty much, like one of the rock solid units still for an SS3 team. He is a bit limited on categories, and his link set really means he's gonna run well with the SS3 units. His easy A is Tech Resurrected Warriors, which can be quite challenging for new players, but it's an older easy A, so it's not as hard. He does fall off a little bit nowadays, but he can still hit well into the 2 millions, and with a few dupes has solid enough defense to run the SS3, SBR, and multiple others. He's a very niche unit, but like some of these units, it really helps out with SS3 teams, so if you're struggling there, definitely pick him up. The next we have are the cells, the cell units, the Tech and the Int one. So both of these units basically EZA from the Future Saga category, and N-type units. Both of them are pretty good. The Tech Cell becomes a nuking based unit who also heals, whereas the Int unit is less nuking based and also heals, but it is from his passive. Both of them are great and link really well with the LR Int Cell, so they are solid options for that, and they're both very solid options on Android's teams. Because they are cells, they actually have quite a few categories, and overall they're really solid units. Their EZAs are also quite old, but they both still hit decent numbers, especially once you get enough dupes, but they're not as good as their strength counterpart. I would suggest picking these guys up, but if you're a newer player, Androids is not really on the current banner, so unless you manage to pick up MVP 17 as a lead, you're not really going to be Android's team based. The next unit we have is Dbz. Dbz is a solid addition to the team. There is currently Physical Dbz on the banner, so he's not really the front runner choice, since most people have picked up the better Dbz offhand. That being said, he is a very solid option, and he can still do a job on Siblings Bond and Realm of the Gods teams, especially if you have a couple dupes in them, or if you have the Strength Whis, who is a very good running partner. But like I said, the Physical Dbz is currently on the banner, so it does make it quite difficult for him. The Strength Dbz is also on the stones. He is a Worthy Rivals category support, and he's a solid option if you need someone to fill in that slot on the Worthy Rivals team. Both of them are weak to Int Realm of the Gods units, so you can use those to take on the EZA. It's kind of a middling EZA, and because of the flood of Realm of the Gods units, especially with the new Vegeta that came out, it shouldn't be too hard to take it on. Then we have Janemba. This is Int Janemba. Int Janemba is one of the prime units that you could spend this Dragonstone on. Although his categories are very limited, he still excels in almost any event that you place him in. He has guard against all types, which obviously makes him very good defensively. He has an S tier stat system very similarly to Gogeta, and he also has the chance to evade. If he gets hit before he attacks, he also actually manages to do some really good damage. His link set includes big bad bosses, which makes him a super viable character for the long haul. His EZA is weak to physical and fusion type units, which means that the SS3 Gotenks will really help you out in terms of his EZA. It's also an older one, which makes it a bit easier for newer players. I cannot stress enough how Janemba is one of the prime Dragonstone units, especially if you have a movie bosses lead, or you manage to pick up the new Janemba from a couple months ago. The only issue with him is he is basically only on a couple teams, which means that you're not really going to manage to run him that well if you do not have the lead. So only get him if you have a lead for his categories already. There are no current leads for him on the banners. The Strength Vegeta, SS3 Vegeta, is very, very good. His EZA is weak to the SS3 AGL types, which means you basically need the Goku from before to take him on. It is an older EZA, and we've got a lot more SS3 units, so doing it isn't hard, but it's gotten a lot easier. He is very good, however he's incredibly niche. He lacks a lot of categories, and he is kind of typecast because he has that SS3 style link set, which means he struggles to link really well on other teams with other Vegetas. But that being said, if you are a kind of middling or intermediate player and you're struggling with the SS3 SBR, Strength Vegeta is a invaluable pickup. He is so valuable for that kind of content. Then we have the Kid Buu. He is a all type support, and he is still relevant, especially since his link set got an update. He is a 50% support above a certain health threshold. Now that we got the link update and he can have things like big bad bosses, Margin got an update so he has more ki, he is still quite relevant. He's also very helpful for nuking events, so you can pick him up if you are needing a support or a generic support for some of your teams. Being a Majin Buu unit, he is on a couple of teams, so Majin Buu Saga, things like that. He is around artificial life forms, so you can slot him into a couple teams, but those teams don't necessarily have a lead currently up. Pure Sands and Strength are his weaknesses, so he's one of the easier EZAs for people to clear. Definitely going to be one of the ones that people could definitely get through and awaken, more so than being one of the ones that you should awaken. We'll then just quickly touch on Topo. Topo is obviously one of the newer EZAs. He is pretty difficult, so new players, I don't suggest that you go and do his EZA. It's more relevant now because we have the Universal Survival Saga and representatives of Universe 7 content kind of coming out, so there are a couple units that you can use. He has a dual EZA with Dispo, and he is definitely one of the top units to get from this event. Due to the fact that the units needed to run his EZA are quite abundant right now, you can definitely focus in and try and get Topo if you got lucky with your summons. So you could still select him even though he's got one of the newer EZAs. It is just still going to be quite challenging. But Topo is a top level unit. He has great defense, great kit, and he's all around really good after his EZA. He's also usable on quite a few teams, so that does help things out. And since he's relevant to the current content and a lot of people will be running Universal Survival Saga style teams, he is quite a useful unit to have around. So it is going to be one of those things that you just kind of want to keep your mind on. The next couple units I'm not going to touch on individually as they are a batch EZA and it will be easier to address them this way. But essentially we have the Fierce Battle EZA. These units here are a batch of units that awaken from the old Hero Extermination style event, and you can pick up all of these units with your Dragonstone. I don't suggest picking up the Tech Android 13 as he's essentially free to play, but the Int Android 13 is a solid option if you're running Android teams. However, out of all of these units, I would only truly suggest picking up maybe Metal Cooler, the Physical Namek Goku, and the AGL Vegeta. All of these units awaken from the same EZA, which makes them quite solid. Metal Cooler is a great support for an extreme class team, and being a Wicked Bloodlines character is on multiple teams. We then have Strength Majin Buu, who's very niche but is super solid on a Majin Buu or Power Absorption team. Then we have the support Tech Nova Shenron, who's very good on a Shadow Dragons team but is super niche. And then we have Goku and Vegeta, who are on quite a few categories, especially Vegeta, but both of them are Pure Saiyans, which makes them widely usable in a lot of content. Ideally, I would hope you don't spend your Dragonstone on these units, but this is one of the easier EZAs, and so for super new players who have only just started the game in the last month or two, this might be one of the more realistic options. So if you're looking for any units to fill out a slot on an Androids team, but especially a Wicked Bloodlines or on a Pure Saiyans team, this could be a solid place for you to look. All of them are done by the same EZA, and that EZA is weak to Ginyu Force style units. So the only way to clear it is a free-to-play Ginyu Force team, which obviously is quite helpful for a lot of people. But yeah, like I said, I definitely would suggest picking up the Goku, since he is super solid, has a great utility based kit, and is very helpful for the Super Saiyan and Pure Saiyans and Goku's family SBRs. Vegeta is a very solid unit as well, very helpful for long term events as he builds up defense to quite a high value and can also hit relatively good attack stats. And then the last but not least, we have the Metal Cooler. Metal Cooler is super solid. He shares his name with the Wicked Bloodlines AGL lead, but you can still use Strength Cooler, and of course you could use pretty much any other Wicked Bloodlines lead or Wicked Bloodlines related lead. Being a Metal Cooler, he is on a ton of teams, and he also forms a really good pairing with the other Int Cooler, the LR Int Cooler that you can get for Dokkan Battlefield Memories. This makes him part of a super powerful new player, free to play, friendly option in terms of team building. So if you are looking for 2 units to run in your Wicked Bloodlines team, those will be the ones. And then 2 of the final units that we'll go through pretty much, the second to last batch of units we'll go through, is the Father-Son Gallic Gun units. Both of these units are probably my top picks for your Redstone selection, or my near top picks for your Redstone selection. Not only are both of them all type leads, which is very good for new players, but they are very easy supports to activate. Vegeta is a very solid support without key, and both of them activate by just having one other Vegeta family card on your team. So they don't even have to be in the same rotation, just have to be on the team, which is highly possible for both of them. Both of them are on a ton of categories: Hybrid Saiyans, Pure Saiyans, Future Saga, Time Travelers, Realm of the Gods for Vegeta, Super Saiyan for both of them. So tons of categories that both of them are on, and really helpful support units. I use them in plenty of teams. They're really good, so you can definitely pick them up. The last two are Kale and Caulifla. Both are exceptional units, and both can be done with a representative of Universe 7 team, which makes them quite in vogue currently for this whole Universe Survival Saga / Tournament of the Power type event. You can definitely get either of them. If you got lucky with your summons, you shouldn't have too much of a problem getting them. They are a joint EZA. If you have to select between the two, I would suggest picking up the Caulifla. For me, Caulifla is just slightly better than Kale. I don't know if it's just the way her kit is designed. The only caveat to Caulifla is that she requires you to have a Kale on rotation to essentially maximize her offensive output, whereas Kale is able to operate singularly on her own. Both are extremely good, and like Toppo, are top line EZAs that you can use. If you've picked up Kefla or anything and you're looking for some Kales and some Cauliflas to fill up your team, your Universe 6 team, or your Pure Saiyans team, or your Universal Survival Saga team, or your Pepe Girls team, or pretty much any team they can be on, they are a solid duo and very good. Now that we've gone through every unit, we will highlight the best units for you to pick. So the best so far, obviously, SS3 Goku and SS Gogeta are great starter options for new players. If you are brand new to the game, please definitely consider picking those up. The next units are Metal Cooler, Goku, and Vegeta. All three of those units are super helpful and super solid, and will be able to assist any super new player. If you got lucky on your summons, I definitely suggest that you pick up Toppo, or that you pick up Kale and Caulifla. And then finally, if you are looking for just the generic units, the Gallic Gun units are going to be your best bet. But that's going to be it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know who you chose with your Redstone down below. But until the next video, cheers and bye.